Hello, I am C. Radhakrishna, Senior Lecturer in Chemistry, working at GPT Gadwal. Today we shall deal with the orbit, orbital and some information on the chemical bonding. Okay? Yeah. After the completion of this period, you will be able to know what is an orbital, what is an orbit, and we will be able to differentiate between the orbital and orbit. Okay. Could you be able to name the path of an electron? See, Bohr's theory proposes that electron revolves around the nucleus in circular pathway. What is that pathway called? That pathway is called as an orbit. Okay, the circular pathway around the nucleus in which electron revolves, that is called as orbit. And coming to orbital, orbital is the space around the nucleus where there is a maximum probability of finding an electron. Okay. See, whenever we talk of the subatomic particles or subatomic particles like electrons, protons and all those things, we talk about the probability, not certainty. And electron, according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the exact position of an electron cannot be determined. Okay. So, we talk only in terms of the probability of the finding electron in a given space and time, not exactly at a given position and time. Okay. So, we talk about possibility of finding electron in a region of space around the nucleus. Where this probability is high, we call that as the orbital. So, orbital can be defined as the space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Okay. So, orbit is the pathway around the nucleus in which electron revolves. Let us try to enumerate or find out some of the differences between the orbit and orbital. Orbit is a circular path around the nucleus where electron revolves, whereas an orbital is the space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Okay. Again, orbit represents the planar motion of electron, where that is two dimensional, whereas orbital is space. Space is always three dimensional, as you know, quite aware. Okay. So, it represents the three dimensional motion of electron around the nucleus. Orbits are circular in shape. Orbitals have different shapes: s orbital spherical, p orbital dumbbell, d orbital double dumbbell, like that. They are different, they are of different shapes. The differences between, let us continue. In an orbit, maximum number of electrons which can be present in a given orbit is given by 2n squared, where n is the integer that is representing the orbit. First orbit, second orbit is 2, third orbit is 3. So, in the first orbit, okay, 2 into 1 is 2, 1 square is 2, only 2 electrons maximum you can place. Likewise, all others. Whereas in an orbital, there will be only a maximum of only 2 electrons can be accommodated in an orbital. Orbit 2n square electrons, whereas in an orbital just 2 electrons. Regarding the orbit, the position and velocity of an electron are certainly known in an orbit, whereas the position it is possible to know. It is not possible, according to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, to know the position and velocity of an electron with certainty in an orbital. Okay. These are some of the differences between orbit and orbital. Okay. So, what we have discussed, we have seen the definition of orbit and definition of the orbital, and also we have delineated the differences between the orbit and the orbital. Okay. Next, we will move on to the shapes of different orbitals. We have got very different orbitals like s orbital, p orbital, d orbital, f orbital. Okay, let's try to see the shapes of different orbitals. Okay, to recapitulate, what's an orbit? It's a pathway around the nucleus in which electrons revolve. What is an orbital? Orbital is the space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Okay. Now, shapes of orbitals. The t-dimensional space around the nucleus where maximum probability of finding an electron is called as orbital. Yeah, we have discussed earlier. The shape of the orbital is known from the probability distribution curves. Probability distribution curves give you the shapes of the orbitals. This probability of finding an electron. Okay, the space where the probability of finding an electron is 0 is called as a nodal space or nodal region. Okay, nodal space or nodal region in an orbital represents the space where the probability of locating an electron is just 0. Okay, there is no point, it will not be there at all. Now we will move on to the s orbital, shape of s orbital. The shape of for s orbital, L value is 0. Okay, L value is 0. It is spherical in shape. The probability of finding an electron is same in all directions around the nucleus. Since it is spherical, the probability of finding an electron is same, identical in all the directions around the nucleus. The size of the s orbital or space of the s orbital increases with the n value. In each orbit you will have one s orbital. One s orbital is smaller than 2s orbital, which is in turn smaller than 3s orbitals. As the orbit increases, so also the size of the s orbital, the spherical shape orbital, will also increase. Okay, let us see the shape of the orbital. So s orbital shape is spherical. Okay, we'll say draw a sphere in the center. You can call that as the dot. You can call it as a nucleus. Okay, here we are showing all the 3 coordinates also. Okay, have you seen? Or is it clear? See, in the examination they will be asking you to draw the shapes of the orbitals, and you will have to draw these. Okay, draw it, and you have to show the not just a round, but also you will have to show the 3 coordinate axes also. Okay, so the probability of finding in electron in s orbital is same in all the directions. That is what the spherical shape means. Okay, the shape of the p orbital. Next come to the p orbital. Here the L value is 1. Azimuthal quantum number is 1. L value is 1. As you know, depending upon the L value, M values vary, magnetic quantum numbers vary. Okay, magnetic quantum vary from minus L through 0, inclusive of 0, to plus L. Okay, so since here L value is 1, M values are minus 1, 0 and plus 1 accordingly. So there are 3 orientations. M represents the orientation of the orbital around the nucleus. Here you have 3 orientations for the p orbital. Okay, or in other words, we can say that the probability of finding an electron lies equally in 3 directions along the 3 coordinate axes. So we talk of these as 3 orbitals. The orbital in the direction of x coordinate, the orbital in the direction of y coordinate, the orbital in the direction of z coordinate. So we call them as px, py and pz. The shape of the p orbital is a dumbbell. The probability is distributed symmetrically along the axis in the form of 2 lobes. Yeah, its shape is dumbbell. Its probability of finding an electron in a given direction is distributed symmetrically along the axis in the form of two lobes. In between these lobes you have a nodal region, okay, where the probability is 0. Px, Py and Pz probability is distributed symmetrically along okay, along x axis, y axis and z axis. P orbital has one nodal plane in Px Py plane, Py Pz plane, Pz xy plane. They have got you have nodal planes, 3 nodal planes also between the coordinate axis directions. 3 orbitals have the same energy and shape. We call this all the d orbitals as degenerate orbitals because they possess the same amount of energy and they exist in the same shape. This concept of this degenerate orbitals we have come across in the earlier class when we have discussed which rule we have discussed in the electron configuration. We have discussed Hund's rule, right? In the Hund's rule, what did it say? Whenever electrons enter a set of degenerate orbitals, okay, all the available degenerate orbitals are filled with one electron each before pairing occurs. That is why we call that as Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. Okay. Now let us see the shapes of the 3 d orbitals. Px, the lobes are oriented along the x axis. Okay. In the Py orbital, the lobes are stretched or spread or oriented along the y axis, and in the Pz orbital, the lobes orientation is along the z axis. These are the shapes of the p orbitals. Okay. Then we can go for d orbital. For the d orbital, the azimuthal quantum number value L value is equal to 2. Okay. And as we have mentioned already that m values vary depending upon L values from minus L to plus L including 0. Okay, minus L to plus L including 0. So, here since L value is 2, m values are minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1 and plus 2. These are the L values. Okay. The d subshell consists of 5 orbitals. So, obviously there are 5 orientations of d orbital. So, 5 d orbitals we call them as 5 orientations we call them as 5 d orbitals. dxy, dyz, dzx and then dx square y square and dz square. Shape of the orbital is double dumbbell except for the dz square. All other 4 orbitals are double dumbbell shaped. Not a p orbital was only single dumbbell shape we had. Okay, here you have a double dumbbell shaped. The probability is distributed in the form of 4 lobes. In all these 4, the probability is distributed in the form of 4 lobes. Probability of finding an electron or electron distribution. In the dxy, dyz, dxz, xy, yz and zx, these the probability is distributed in between the coordinate axis xyz. They are distributed in between the coordinate axis. How it happens, let us see. Okay. In the dx square, y square and dz square, the probability is distributed along the coordinate axis. Along the coordinate axis in the case of dx square, y square, whereas in the case of dxy, dyz and dzx, xz, okay, the probability of distribution is in between the coordinate axis, probability distribution. Okay. The dz square orbital has a dumbbell shape. Probability is an x axis, okay, around the nucleus in the xy plane. We will see the diagram, you will better understand. Each d orbital has 2 nodal planes. In the p orbital, each orbital had only 1 nodal plane, whereas in the case of each d orbital there are 2 nodal planes. all the 5 d orbitals are degenerate orbitals. They are equivalent energetically. They are all equivalent energetically. So we call them as degenerate orbitals. Hund's rule applies even for the d orbitals. Even the d orbitals, only after all the 5 d orbitals are filled with 1 electron each, then pairing starts to occur. Okay, let us see the shapes of the d orbitals. Okay, dxy orbital, here the lobes are distributed between the x and y coordinates, coordinate axis. Okay, in the dzy, the lobes are distributed in between y and z coordinate axis, and in the zx, the lobes are distributed in between the coordinate axis of z and x. Here the point to remember is each d orbital has 2 nodal planes. Okay, here. Okay. Then now dx square y square. Here you can see obviously the lobes are distributed along the x and y coordinate axis, whereas x, y, y, z and z x they are distributed in between the coordinate axis. Okay, whereas in dx square y square and dz square they are distributed along the coordinate axis. As in the case of x square y square, the lobes are distributed along x coordinate axis as well as y coordinate axis, and in the dz square, that is the orbital is oriented in the dumbbell shape along the z axis, and also you can see the distribution perpendicular to z axis, in the xy plane. Okay. So far we have learned about orbit and orbital. The definitions we have seen 4 or 5 differences between orbit and orbital. Then we came to the concept of shapes of the orbitals. We have seen the shapes of s orbital, we have seen the shape of p orbital, and the shapes of z orbitals also, and we have seen the diagrams also. You will have to, in the examination they usually ask the diagrams, ask you to draw the diagrams, usually for short notes. Okay, you will have to practice drawing these diagrams, that is essential. Okay. Next we will move on to chemical bonding. Okay, chemical bonding we will move on to. The objectives are, on the completion of this period, you will be able to know, you will be knowing what chemical bonding is, what are the reasons for the chemical bonding. Okay, we will also try to see electronic theory of valency if time permits. Okay. Yeah, introduction to chemical bonding. A large number of substances, materials that we see around us, most of them are formed by the combination of 1 or 2 or even more elements. For example, you take common salt, sodium chloride. It is made up of sodium and chlorine. Okay, chloride ions and sodium ions are bound together by electrostatic force of attraction here. Okay. Next, you take the example of a water molecule. Here water molecule is made up of one atom of oxygen is bound to 2 hydrogen atoms. 2 hydrogen atoms are bound to 1 oxygen atom. Okay, H2O we call this as. Okay, the shape you can see. So what is a chemical bond? How do you define a chemical bond? It is the force of attraction that binds 2 atoms or ions or 2 particles together, which binds together. Bond is which binds, but what binds? It is to be force of attraction, obviously. Okay, 2 atoms may be here, the bound atoms may be same or different. For example, if we take homoatomic molecules like hydrogen, chlorine, fluorine, nitrogen, oxygen, they are homoatomic molecules. 2 atoms are bound together. In the case of heteroatomic molecules, 2 different atoms will be bound together. For example, NaCl, sodium and chloride are bound together. Likewise, H2O, two hydrogen atoms are bound to one oxygen atom. In the case of ammonia, NH3 formula, 3 hydrogen atoms are bound to one nitrogen atom. Okay. Okay. Why are chemical bonds formed? Chemical bonds are formed to improve the stability by losing energy. Usually atoms are more energetic, and when they combine to form molecules or compounds, the energy, some energy will be liberated to the surroundings, energy decreases. Whenever the energy decreases, the stability will improve. So, to get stability by losing energy, chemical bonds are formed, atoms enter into bonding to get the stable electron configuration. Yeah, usually elements, most of the elements try to attain octet configuration, in their outermost orbit. Octet is having an octet is equated to the stability. Most of the elements, not all of course, but most of the element, they try to gain nearest inert gas configuration, that is octet configuration. In the inert gases, except for the helium, all other inert gases have NH2 NP6 configuration. 2 plus 6 is 8 octet. NH2 NP6 configuration in the outermost orbit, and they tend to be monoatomic and they tend to be unreactive and highly stable. Since they are highly stable, scientists have attributed their stability to having octet in the outermost orbit, and other elements also try to gain octet in their outermost orbits so as to become stable. Let us say, for example, the formation of hydrogen. Hydrogen exists as a H2 molecule. Okay. Nearest inert gas is helium. Helium is also highly stable, noble gas, that is also inert gas or noble gas. Two hydrogen atoms combine to form H2 molecule. In the formation, so forming 433 kilojoules of energy is liberated to the surroundings for the formation of 1 mole of hydrogen molecules. The above reaction indicates that when two hydrogen atoms combine, 433 kilojoules of energy is released. Not two hydrogen atoms, but 2 mole, 1 mole of H2 is formed, hydrogen gas is formed. The chemical combination of hydrogen atoms lower their energy. Here it is losing energy, right. So, atoms are more energetic and less stable, whereas the formation of hydrogen molecule, energy is being lost. So, it is of lower energy and more stable. So, it is gaining stability. By combining two hydrogen atoms, the energy is lowered by 433 kilojoules. It indicates that hydrogen gas is stable in the diatomic state. That is why it forms H2 molecule. Okay. So, the intention here is to gain stability. This can happen by the loss of energy. Okay. Tendency to acquire inert gas configuration. All elements try to get inert gas configuration. Okay. Not all, most of the elements. Okay. Most of the elements try to get inert gas configuration to get the stability. This is done. The inert gas configuration can be attained either by losing of electrons or by gaining of electrons. Okay. Another way is to get inert gas configuration by sharing of electrons. Okay. By losing or gaining of electrons, an ionic bond is formed. By sharing of electrons, a covalent bond is formed. We shall discuss these types of bonds in the next lectures. Okay. Tendency to acquire minimum energy. Stability of an atom is related to its energy. If the energy more is the energy, less is the stability. If the energy is less, stability will be more. Okay. So, here we have seen the motive for the formation of chemical bonding. Okay. Motive for the formation of chemical bonding. Different atoms combine to form substances, compounds or substances to gain stability. Chemical bond formation takes place to minimize the energy. Okay. Uh, now let us see the electronic theory of valency. One of the ways of explaining the formation of chemical bond is one of the ways to explain is the electronic theory of valency. It is proposed by two scientists named Kossel and Lewis. Kossel and Lewis have proposed electronic theory of valency. This theory is based on the concept that atoms combine to acquire nearest inert gas configuration. They say that they claim that atoms combine to get nearest inert gas configuration. So, because inert gas is stable, they also can become stable. That is the idea. So, to gain this inert gas configuration, they either transfer electrons by mutual sharing of electrons. They can do it either by transfer of electrons from one atom to another. One atom loses, the another atom gains, or they can also mutually share the electrons. They can also mutually share the electrons. The postulates of this electronic theory of valency are maybe it is proposed by Kossel and Lewis. Ionic bond, ionic electrovalent and ionic bond was explained by Kossel. Covalent bond or covalency is explained by Lewis. The stability of noble gas is due to the octet configuration in their valence shell. Noble gases exhibit stability as just mentioned. They tend to remain inert. They do not participate in the chemical bonding. They are mostly monoatomic, not even diatomic. They are mostly monoatomic. Their stability arises from the fact that except for the helium, all other elements have NS2 NP6 configuration, that is an octet in their valence shell. And as we have seen that as you have mentioned, all other elements try to gain this octet. They try to gain this octet because octet is equated to stability. They want to become stable and they want to gain this octet. So far so good. How to get this octet? They may gain this octet either by losing of electrons or by gaining of electrons or by even mutually sharing the electrons. Loss of electron and gain of electron, it leads to formation of ions. An ionic bond is formed, whereas sharing of electrons leads to the formation of a covalent bond, as you are well aware. They try to get a octet in their valence shells. Except for the noble gas, all other elements have chemically reactive. All other elements are chemically reactive because they lack a octet configuration. For example, nitrogen atomic number is 7. It has configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. It has got 5 valence electrons. If you take fluorine, if its atomic number is 9, its configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. It has got how many electrons? 7 electrons in the valence shell. So, nitrogen needs 3 more valence electrons. Fluorine needs just 1 more valence electron to complete octet. The postulates of electronic theory of valency, just as I mentioned, can be enumerated like elements which do not have octet configuration. They try to get octet configuration by bond formation. Elements get octet either by transfer of electrons or by sharing of electrons. This is the electronic theory of valency. So far what have we learned in these classes? In these classes we have learned that to start with we have seen the orbit and orbital. We have defined orbit as the place as the pathway in which electrons revolve around the nucleus continuously in circular pathways. These pathways are called orbits. An orbit is two dimensional, planar and two dimensional. Orbital is defined as space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Probability of finding an electron is maximum. Okay. So that is about the orbital. Orbital is three dimensional. We are also differentiated. I am trying to recapitulate what I have learned in this period. Okay. So orbit is a pathway around the nucleus in which electrons revolve. Orbital is space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Orbit is planar and two dimensional. Orbital is space, region of space, and it is three dimensional. Maximum number of electrons in an orbit can be 2n squared, where n is integers like 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas in an orbital can house a maximum of 2 electrons only, not more than 2. Then coming to the orbits are circular in shape. Orbitals have different shapes. Orbit is static, orbital is dynamic. Okay. These are some of the differences between orbit and orbital. We can enumerate. Then we learned the shapes of the orbitals. Okay. The radial probability curves give these shapes, gives the shapes of different orbitals. S orbital is for S orbital, azimuthal quantum number L value is 0. So it has got only one distribution, that is spherical. Okay, spherical in shape. And for the p orbital, L value is 1. So m value are, since m values vary from minus L to plus L including 0, it has got values of plus 1, 0 and minus 1. So 3 orientations. The 3 orientations are along the x axis, y axis and the z axis. Okay. So we have got 3 p orbitals. They can be named as px, py and pz. Px, py and pz. Then there is a p orbital is dumbbell shape. The lobes are oriented along the respective x, y and z axis, and in between the lobes you have a nodal plane where the probability of finding electron is 0. Then this takes us to the next topic, that is shapes of d orbitals. Here for the d orbitals, the L value is 2, m values are minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. So it has got 5 orientations. Okay. 3 of the orbitals are oriented in between the coordinate axes, like dxy, dyz and dzx, whereas 2 more orbitals are oriented along the coordinate axis dx square, y square and dz square. D orbital is double dumbbell shaped, and all the 4 of the d orbitals have each d orbital has 2 nodal planes. Its shape is double dumbbell. These diagrams have to be practiced by the students. They have to learn these diagrams to practice. In the examination the shapes will be asked. Then we have seen what leads to the formation. Why do elements or atoms participate in the chemical bonding? Okay. See, the basic intention is all species, living or non-living, all things in the nature, they try to acquire maximum stability. In the atomic state, they are higher in energy. In the combined state, the energy decreases. For example, if you take that of hydrogen, hydrogen 1 mole of for the formation of 1 mole of hydrogen gas from hydrogen atoms, around 433 kilojoules of energy is released. Okay, this is a huge amount. So the molecule, hydrogen molecule is stabler by that much amount, because lesser the energy, the higher will be the stability. So one concept is the elements combine, the atoms combine together to form molecules or compounds to lower their energies and improve their stability, increase their stability. The other concept is in doing so, they combine, atoms combine to get nearest inert gas octet configuration. They may, okay, that is a second theory. To get octet configuration, elements combine. Okay, this leads us to the next topic, that is electronic theory of valency. Electronic theory of valency states that okay, it seeks to rationalize the formation of chemical bonding. The motive behind, tries to explain the motive behind the bond formation, chemical bond formation, or in terms of electrons, valence electrons. Okay. First of all, it states that what it states is atoms are, noble gases are stable because they have got NH2NP6, that is an octet configuration in the outermost valence shells, except for the helium, which has got only 2 electrons. All others have the 8 electrons, NH2NP6 configuration in the outermost orbit, and they are highly stable and they are monoatomic. The elements, most of the other elements, they try to acquire this noble configuration, this NH2NP6 octet configuration, either by the loss of electrons or by the gain of electrons, or by mutual sharing of the electrons. If an atom loses or gains electrons, it turns into an ion, and an ionic bond is formed by mutual sharing or by losing or gaining of electrons. Whereas by mutual sharing of electrons, the covalent bond is formed between the atoms which are sharing those electrons. Okay. So by losing or gaining of electrons or by mutual sharing of electrons, atom try to acquire the nearest inert gas configuration so as to become, that is octet configuration, so as to become stable. That is what is propounded by the electronic theory of valency, and this electronic theory of valency is proposed by Quetzal and Lewis. That's all. With that we come to the end of this lecture. If you have any doubts, you can contact me later. Thank you.